Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, more importantly, great customer service. North Carolina company with spots all across the state. And most importantly, you got a technical issue like Joe seems to have every 3 months. You can hit him up and a real life human being will show up and help you out and troubleshoot, Joe.
Can't get better customer service than my man Jerome with Copiers Plus.
When's he on the schedule? I know he's back on the schedule at some point.
Knock on wood. So far, everything's been going okay at the homestead on the Wi-Fi front.
Okay, good,
so
good.
We're in a good groove.
Well, shit, man. If you've had anything you needed to get done, this has been the time to do it.
Should have been. Yes, you're right.
What have you been doing instead?
Playing a lot of golf. And I shared with you my new love of grape White Claws. Like you say, I fall in love easy, and the claws have gotten a hold of me.
So I thought about you.
Okay.
So my dad shoots me a text yesterday. Joey, I'm at Total Wine. I was like, okay. Because there's apparently the Total Wine there in North Hills has the kind of wine that's behind the glass that he likes to get.
Oh.
Okay. That's apparently not available at other Total Wines.
Oh, right by your house.
Yeah,
okay.
By my house.
I think of Total Wine in Cary.
So he shoots me a text that he's at the Total Wine at North Hills. He's like, I will make it worth your while to come by. I was like, okay, I see. And I got to re-up. You know, it's rosé season, man. It's hot. You got to re-up on the wine, get some rosés. Rosé all day, right? And lo and behold, as I'm walking by the display stuff, you know, their new hotness, right? They got this new THC drink. They've got this seasonal beer. What do I see? There's literally 2 left.
No matter where you go, the hottest ticket in town. Oh, a full case?
A full case of the Bapple.
You know we can resell this, right?
So I asked, I said, hell, here, take it. This is for you from my dad. My dad's like, I'm sorry, what? He goes, yeah, Giglio's all obsessed with the Bapple right now. So I got one of the cases. I was talking to the person at Total Wine. I'm like, I'm actually shocked you have this. She goes, I am shocked we have this too. Because the frat guys have come up and they absolutely find it.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that about the frats. I'm almost certain there's a tracker that tells you where you can find the bush apple, the bush peach, the different bush varieties. I'm almost certain.
Well, I sent you a picture while we were in Philadelphia of 2 dudes walking down the street, each with a sleeve of bush apple, of the Bapple. But as I was at the Total Wine and the person checking us out was laughing about the fact that she was shocked that they even had any left. She asked me if I tried the Keystone apple. I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry, what? Keystone apple? She's like, yeah, that one tastes more like beer with a hint of apple. Whereas this, of course, my dad starts going into my dad mode. He's like, oh, Giglio likes sidra. It's apple cider. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I don't think it's the same kind of stuff that our ancestors were drinking in Spain. But you know what? You're cooking right now. I'll let you go. Now, I picked that up because I've not had it yet. Even Caleb, I've not had a bush apple yet.
Oh, I gave you the peach.
You gave me the peach. So I brought that home, and Caleb, of course, who's 18, is like, yo, where'd you get that? I was like, apparently they still had some at Total Wine. He's like, because he went to a party on Saturday night. He's like, yeah, part of the appeal, like part of the sell for the party is that somebody took a picture of all the Bapple that was there. When we got to the party, it was all gone. I go, yeah, it's all cooking right now. I said, but did they have any of this at the party? This is beer research for the show. Pabst Blue Ribbon Grillo pickle beer.
Wow.
Have you seen this?
No. I love Grillos.
So I saw this and I picked this up too because look, OG Lime has been a success so far. People actually want it part of the permanent rotation. So I was wondering, do we then challenge wit for another type of beer style? Do we chase the apple trend? Or do we do something ridiculous like pickle? I've not had this yet. I'm very intrigued by this.
So that looks fantastic, by the way. With a shot of Jameson, forget it.
Hell yes.
Forget it.
Why Jameson? Well, as we're speaking of bourbon, shout out to Chris.
Yeah.
He visited the studio.
The OG.
That with a green Weller? Who says no, right? Or, and this is the real reason why Chris dropped by. We appreciate him being a real one. Or...
covering my mouth as we speak.
Do we just go ahead and try the barrel-aged Malort? Barrel-aged Malort, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it reads on the side. This small batch of Jeppson's Malort was finished in bourbon barrels. Those poor bourbon barrels. What did those bourbon barrels do to you? Ruined. To be savored by two-fisted drinkers only. So when do we do this?
You know, I haven't had liquor since the Super Bowl.
When do we do this? Do we do this when the Canes eventually beat the Buffalo Sabres or Montreal Canadiens in the Eastern Conference Finals?
At the risk of skipping ahead, I'm willing to do Malort in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Now,
willing.
would you do it out of the beer skate?
No.
I'm pretty sure I can get this entire thing in a beer skate.
No.
No? Do you want to do Bapple in the beer skate?
Yeah, that'd be easy.
Okay. Now,
And Bapple really does taste like cider. You are not going to like the Bapple.
Now, will that Bapple make it to a tailgate? That Bapple's for you. It is not for your children.
Okay.
So you tell James, no. You tell Jackson, you're not old enough, son.
Why don't we put it, we could probably sell it on the secondary market, make a couple of dollars, go to...
Do you think if we sold that...
If Buffalo wins, we'll use it as a way to get to Buffalo.
If we... Okay. A little black market Bapple?
Yeah.
Pay off our quarterly taxes with it?
Speaking of which, next month. Yeah.
As you can see, we are killing time, much like the Carolina Hurricanes have had to kill time. We're going to check in with John Forslund, who will have the call of the Eastern Conference Finals on the radio for Sports USA. So we haven't talked to Forslund in a hot minute, and it's got storylines galore. Whether it's Buffalo or Montreal, there is Canes lore baked into those two opponents as we get into the Eastern Conference Finals. But we're not the only ones who are just killing time right now. Real quick, that's the music playing. It says, "Hey Montreal, I didn't hear no bell." And speaking of drinking alcohol out of contraptions, that's the beer Saber that he is drinking from. So yeah,
Didn't hear no bell.
There you get the gist of that. I didn't hear no bell with Buffalo and Montreal. And honestly, I was making plans for Tuesday night, given the way that game started on Saturday.
Yeah,
but here we are.
Well, in the world,
here we are.
Straight goals.
I love it. Let them fight. Let them be exhausted.
Chase Dobish put a little doubt in his brain.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want all the goalies doubting themselves. I want all this happening right now. Meanwhile, the Hurricanes are just killing time. You got Rob Brindamore being asked, "Are you bored?"
Am I bored? No, life's good. You're never bored. I mean, we want to get going. I mean, that's part of it. But hey, however long, we'll be ready.
I have no doubts that they will be ready. Also leads to
that hat's going to be a ski mask by the time the game gets here on Thursday.
So down. I'm tired of answering these questions. Meanwhile, they're so bored that we got some social media from the Hurricanes. Makes walk of shame back to the front desk. What is this?
I want you to pick out of this video what I was excited about.
Okay, so all right, what do we got here?
Hi guys, it's me. No, sorry. Okay,
all right. So anyway, the who is most likely to lose their room key?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what do we?
I vote me
This is Jalen Chatfield.
because I lost my room 5 times this year, probably. I think same. Nico, kick Eric Robinson, Robbie. I think Halsey.
Our Russian goalie, Fyodor Kachko.
Oh, I see. Hold on a second. They go right. Hold on a second. So this is Svechnik. This is Svechnikov saying this.
Our Russian goalie, Fyodor Kachko.
Kachko.
And of course, Piotr says it's Svech that would lose it. So are you? Wait a minute. Okay. I see.
That's the Russian saying it.
I see what's happening here.
It's the Russian saying it.
I see what's happening.
So
here.
Waddell was right all along.
I see. And yeah, the wait's been going
Learn
on.
how to say his name.
Oh, well,
Tell us Russian friend.
Tell his Russian friend how to actually say it. Okay, what do you want? Meanwhile, I guess again we got so much time to kill that Scott Van Pelt and Stanford Steve were killing time during the PGA Championship.
Yeah, this was before the PGA had started.
Okay,
Stanford Steve feeling good. Like he's got these glasses on, just macking.
Does he not have the best job in sports?
One of.
Okay.
Take the winner of that series over Carolina.
You're saying the Montreal Buffalo winner beats Carolina.
I do.
Hot take. Play the siren. Carolina hadn't lost a game.
They played Philly.
Careful.
I hope that they do come out here because they don't have anything else to do. The Flyers got swept and the Sixers got swept.
Carolina, though, hasn't lost a single game, and you're telling me someone's going to beat
I just feel like those teams got some spunk to them, and the layoff in hockey, I don't like it. I am also partial, and I don't care that they're from Canada. I'm rooting for the Canadians. That scene is absolutely incredible.
Buffalo and Montreal kind of side by side, like side by each, to say it in hockey parlance. But as great as the Buffalo scene is, it means more to Montreal.
Yeah.
It's more life and death. As a country, they've mostly been dead this time of year, Stanley Cup time.
Correct.
All due respect.
But they are alive as anyone.
Hey, look, and I'm with Stanford Steve. I'm here for Montreal getting this done tonight in Game 7 because it's helpful for us. Not that Buffalo fans won't find the podcast, but Montreal fans would absolutely find the podcast. Don't you think?
I mean, that's just one more step that says Lindy Ruff is going to be the coach of the year. One more step in the prophecy that says the Hurricanes are going to win the Stanley Cup.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
At this point, I'm personally rooting for Buffalo.
Okay. Well, but you also know with Montreal, we have Canes lore. I mean,
Never lost in the playoffs to Montreal or any team from Canada.
And the Canes already beating us to it in that they've already talked to Eric Cole about his Montreal lore. They've already talked to Jeff O'Neill about
Where's
his.
Nicky Wallin?
Right, we do need
The
Nicky
true
Wallin.
secret hero. Superpower.
We talking Black Eyes again? Or just get Jeff O'Neill out here.
That was Toronto.
That was Toronto. That's right. My bad. Regardless.
All Canada cities.
It all runs together after
Forgive
a
us.
while. Look, we're getting kind of loopy here. We got nothing going on. Except the content gods always find a way to deliver, Joe.
They do.
They always find a way to deliver. So while we're waiting, Carolina Hurricanes owner Tom Dundon made an appearance on the Game Over podcast, which is a part of the Ringer network, which is owned by Spotify. And Spotify bought that from Bill Simmons, who has a substantial role with Spotify. Why does this matter? Well, Bill Simmons is the one who dubbed Tom Dundon El Cheapo based on the reporting coming out of his ownership stake of the Portland Trailblazers and how things have changed since he's taken over. So he does an appearance with Max Kellerman and Rich Paul on the Game Over podcast. The podcast doesn't necessarily drop anything new in terms of Tom Dundon, right? But it did show you how whether it was Tom Dundon himself or people close to Tom Dundon, making a wise decision and going on with this podcast, which is hosted by Rich Paul. For those who do not know, Rich Paul is LeBron James's guy and started Clutch Sports, which represents a lot of NBA players. How would you do some damage control, Joe? Talk to one of the most influential guys in the game and make it seem like, oh, this guy understands what he's doing. He's a smart business guy. This makes a lot of sense.
It was a good move for Tom.
Very, very savvy move for Tom. I pulled 3 clips from this interview, which was largely Max Kellerman rolling over like a puppy on a variety of different topics.
Max just chewing up the scenery.
Oh, my goodness.
My gosh.
He loved everything Tom Dundon had to say. But we'll start with the first iteration of damage control. This was in relation to the hotel early checkout story. And Tom giving you some insight as to him learning the differences between the NBA and the NHL.
Well, the stuff that was blamed on money is actually not 100% true that I thought about the money. Like on traveling players, I just made a mistake. I just don't understand the league. In hockey, we don't travel extra people because we're not on vacation. We're here to win. So we don't want the distraction. The NBA seems to live with those distractions. It's not how I think about it. So you sort of got to learn, what's the differences between the two leagues. And, the hotel story with the staff is an interesting story, I think, because normally when you travel, you get late checkout, right? In this case, in sports, it's usually like 5% and never comes up. We went because it was last minute going to Phoenix. There was no hotels. I guess Phoenix in March is a pretty popular place. So had trouble getting hotels. And the hotel really wanted us to be out early because they needed the rooms. And so they wanted us to pay for a second night. And so we did that for the coaches and the players, but we got them to let us leave at 1:00. And I had a room at the hotel. I was there. So I'm like, lunch starts at 1:45. We have a huge ballroom with this really nice lunch for everybody. So I said, look, we'll do the players and the coaches. We'll stay. We'll pay the extra night. For the staff, we've got this big ballroom with food. We'll go down there and work. And everyone was down there. I was down there. I actually learned a lot during that hour because I got to talk to some of the training staff, etc. Like, I would do it again. I think it's actually pretty stupid to think that people who are there to work, who are being fed, and 45 minutes later, they weren't in the lobby. They brought their bags down in the room right by where the bus was, right next to my bag. And we sat down there and talked. And, you know, if that's too hard for people, I'm not right for them. You know, like, I want that culture.
At that point, Rich Paul starts to chime in saying, no, you're like, absolutely right. I see where you're coming from on this and all that kind of stuff. I thought the part that stood out to me was right at the beginning.
Some of the stuff that was blamed on money is actually not 100% true that I thought about the money. Like, on traveling players, you know, I just made a mistake. I just don't understand the league. In hockey, we don't travel extra people because we're not on vacation. We're here to win. So we don't want the distraction. The NBA seems to live with those distractions.
Live with those distractions. We're not here on vacation. We're here to work, all those types of things.
I just hope the people in the ballroom remembered on those TPS reports to put the cover sheet on. Like, what were they working on? I'm genuinely curious.
I do not know.
What were they working on?
I do not know. For that hour in the ballroom, I have no idea.
What was Tom working on?
What
was
is
he scouting?
Well, that's the thing. Tom's always
Trying
working
to find
on
a coach.
Tom's always working on something, right?
Yeah.
At the end, he talked about how if that's not for you, then that's fine.
Sure.
Like, this is my culture. If that's not for you, it is what it is. So he gets into how he's wired. I mean, things that we know, things that we've discussed with Tom Dundon in previous conversations with him. And what was he working on? Well, it sounds to me like Tom's always working on something.
Think about being efficient. You know, like, I'm worried about parking spaces and getting in and out of lines. And all I think about is, our fans want to come in, and how do I get them in quicker? And, you know, so I spend a lot of time on things that maybe other people don't think about. It drives me crazy. If I see, you know, the wrong trash cans, you know, I have in Carolina, they've worked with us to change the lights so people can get out of the arena quicker. And so, unfortunately, I can't turn that off, right? All the things that sort of make me successful are things sometimes I wish I could turn off, because they become, you know, these little things that everybody doesn't understand. And like, I make people, if they're going to print something, print on both sides of the paper. It's so stupid, but I can't help myself. If Portland sent me some decks and they're so thick and you got to go through them. And then, you know, I told them, hey, look, if you're going to send me stuff, so the next thing they send me, they're double-sided printed, and, you know, it's a smaller piece. It fits in my backpack. We didn't waste whatever you waste doing it. I've got a lot of money. I can afford to waste paper, but I'm not going to do it. And so it works in my favor most of the time. But in these situations, you know, sometimes I probably pick on some things that I should have just let go, and hopefully I can learn from it and fix it.
But again, Rich Paul coming in at the end there to chime in saying, oh, no. Like, I totally see your mindset on that. And that tracks. I mean, most rich people, billionaires, are some of the cheapest people you know. They're efficient. They don't want to waste money. I got the money, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want to waste my money. All those things track. And all the stuff that he was talking about, what happens with the Hurricanes, all of that tracks. Tom Dundon is very involved with the nature of the building, why things are set up the way that they're set up. Why are we out of this shirt? Like, all these types of things. Why are we charging $5 for beer? Hi, I've had that conversation. Like, all these things make a lot of sense, and you can't turn it off. In a lot of ways, this is the classic trope of the interview, the job interview, when the recruiter or the hiring manager asks you the question, what would you say your biggest weakness is? And the worst answer you could possibly give is, well, I think my biggest weakness is that I just care too much. You know, I just care too much. Oh, okay. You thought that was a banger. It is not a banger. So that's Dundon doing the same thing. I'm like, I mean, I'm just wired the way that I am. Sometimes I wish I wasn't wired this way, but it's just how I am. So, and that's fine. But again, all these things track, and all of this is to the one goal that we know about Tom, and that is to win. That's what he wants to do. That's the through line with all of this. And the success he's had with the Carolina Hurricanes is proof to him that you should be able to do this in the NBA, except going back to that first clip that I pulled, he's now understanding and learning the differences between the NHL and the NBA. And this gets back to something that you said from the jump when it comes to the differences between the NBA and the NHL. The distressed assets, finding Taylor Hall and turning him into this. My understanding is if you follow up on Sloan Analytic Conference things and where sports are and all that kind of stuff, the NBA is ahead of the NHL when it comes to analytics in terms of how it just permeates every decision being made. So in the NBA, it's increasingly difficult to go and find a distressed asset and make it work for you. If you're going to win the NBA, Joe, what do you have to do?
You got to have a superstar. There's really no way around it.
And how are you going to get a superstar?
You either have to draft them first or second overall, or make an unbelievable trade that you give up all of your future assets for, or you have to sign them in free agency.
You got to sign them in free agency. You also have to recruit in free agency.
You do.
You have to recruit in free agency. And in the end,
Michael Jordan himself couldn't recruit in Charlotte.
Nope. So that is the part that I think I hope people understand where I'm going with this. He's not a dummy. He understands. Okay. And I think that part of this decision to go on this particular podcast was savvy, because that's where we get back to the recruitment aspect of it. That's where we get to Rich Paul and Clutch Sports and answers that he gave about how, look, you can focus on whether we're giving away T-shirts or doing rally towels. You can focus on the hotel story all you want about non-essential, people, not essential, like they're not the players doing that. He's like, I take care of the players. I spend the cap. I've gone over the cap. He brought that up in the NHL and the cap policies and everything else, and how you can go over the cap. He's like, I've been over the cap multiple times. I will spend on the players for what they need and all that kind of stuff. That's part of the recruitment strategy, and trying to change the conversation around all the fan stuff versus what the players care about. Am I going to get taken care of? So, and that's the thing about Paul Allen. When Paul Allen was with us, he's a billionaire who was lavish about all these types of things. Dundon has not shown a propensity to be lavish for stuff, right down to double-sided paper and whether or not you're wasting print space. He should call Copiers Plus, honestly.
I just hope he's using Copiers Plus.
He should, honestly, because that's how you can save a lot of money using Drew and the crew over at Copiers Plus. So I give him credit for finding some damage control with where he was earlier with the Portland story and where they are at now. And again, this is all kind of stuff that we've tracked with Dundon before, in terms of how he goes about things and how he's going to challenge the coaching staff and the front office to make decisions. We've heard these stories related to the Carolina Hurricanes. I remember you asked him one time, 2 years ago or whatever it was, the relationship with Rod. He's like, well, yeah, I'm going to defer to Rod, but I'm going to have some questions as to, are you sure this is the guy? Are you sure this is a move you want to make? And he doubled down on that in this interview with Game Over.
I never scout players. Like, I don't think I can watch a player. I mean, I could see LeBron when he was 25 and know that that's pretty good, right? Like, we can all do that. But what I try to do on the scouting side is just when I think they're falling in love with a player is try to push, like, let's just assume they're not there. Let's assume you just can't pick them. What would you do? Just because you're right. It does happen where for whatever reason, the group locks in on something that might be right, might be wrong, but I'll always try to sort of push back when I think there's an emotional attachment early. And by the way, a couple times in hockey, I pushed back, they didn't give, and we ended up with really good players because they didn't sort of give to my nonsense.
Kudos to you for allowing them to do their job, though. Because it happens like that.
Yeah, I think you got to challenge them, but they get to pick. Yes. Like, I'm not picking.
Kudos for you for doing your job. Like, I think you missed the point of the story there, Rich, but
look,
it's fine.
I have thoughts on the podcast itself. I don't.
Are they in the same room?
No.
It didn't sound like they were together.
No.
Not Tom, but our Rich and Max
together.
Not
for this one, no.
Yeah.
Not for this one. They weren't in the room for this one. Sometimes they are. It's most of my thoughts on the podcast have to do with Max Kellerman.
Sure.
And his wheelhouse, what he's good at and what he's not good at. That's true of anybody in this business. What are you good at? What are your pros? What are your cons? In this situation, I go to the cons with Max Kellerman, and I found the interview to be, again, the right place to do it if you're Tom Dundon. So props to him. One other Canes note before we move on to housekeeping. We do have a schedule finally, like an actual schedule, game times and everything else. So Thursday night, we'll have a meeting here. Let's have a meeting. So Thursday night, face off 8:00 at Lenovo Center. Be another late night for us, Joe. Another late after dark for us. So we will not do a normal OG live brought to you by the Butcher's Market on Thursday at 2:00. We're just going to wait, do an after dark that night to start things off. Saturday, 7:00 at Lenovo. I mean, come on. Best case scenario, holiday weekend. People are going to be lubed up and ready to go on Saturday night. And then Monday night on the road. Wednesday, that's an 8:00 on Monday night. And then Wednesday, 8:00. Friday, 8:00 if necessary. I don't think we're going to have another sweep, but this is actually pretty good for the Carolina Hurricanes. You get a Saturday night game 2 and then a Friday night game 5. Man, couldn't ask for a better situation.
Can't hate that.
Cannot ask for a better situation. Get your beer skates ready because y'all are going to be drinking a ton for some of these start times. Housekeeping is brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Enovana.
OGTriangleMediaShop.com. OGTriangleMediaShop.com. That is our OG pop-up. It closes next week. Memorial Day, the pop-up shop closes. So if you would like a sun shirt, now is the time to buy it. If you would like a hat, now is the time to buy it. By the way, the Gramp hats are like all the rage. Saw our guy Matt register over at Southern Smoke. Does this hat look familiar, Joe? It does. It looks a lot like one of our grandpa hats, which you can find at OGTriangleMediaShop.com. Matt wants us to come out to Garland to do the show, by the way.
I'm in.
It's going to feed us, and then we'll do a show from there. So
I'm in.
I'm very excited about that. So, yeah, we got tank tops. We've got playoff pigs. We got sun shirts. We got hats. But here's the thing about the pop-up shop. Once we shut down the site, it's gone. Back into the vault. Never to be seen again unless we have an anniversary. And then we'll bring it back out with a platinum collection or something like that. So go to OGTriangleMediaShop.com and take advantage of our pop-up shop.
I will say your choice in hats this time, though, that came out really nice.
Oh, yeah.
That came out really nice.
Yeah, the Gramp hat with the in no way, shape, or form homage to a certain beer label. Absolutely not an homage to any way, shape, or form.
Annie buy some shirts and a hoodie as well.
Well, yeah, that was in exchange for the beer skate.
Oh,
Annie got a shirt and a clearance hoodie for the beer skate. That was the exchange.
Perfect.
So glad that she got those. So the way it'll work is you order this week, the shop will close, and then they should be available, I think, like 10 days after that. So give it about 2 weeks time to get notified that your merch is ready. So OGTriangleMediaShop.com. The beer. Our guy Chris over at P Street has re-upped, but that's not the only place you can get it. I love that everybody went to P Street and cleared it out, but I went to State of Beer / Ben Bar on Friday, and they had tons of OG lime.
So they sell by the 4-pack?
They sell by the 4-pack, and you can just get a Lucy to hang out in the back.
Okay.
If you'd like. So you can just walk up to the refrigerator, grab yourself a beer, and enjoy something from State of Beer. So that's over on Morgan Street.
Yeah.
The 3 houses that are set up there, State of Beer / Ben Bar.
Our friend back where, irregardless, I think it's still there.
It's still there.
Like Charlie Goodnight's, the old Charlie
Goodnight's.
The old bar.
Which is no longer there.
Old bar, new bar.
Exactly. So it's all back there. Ran into some of our old colleagues while I was there on Friday.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mike. I forced him to drink an OG lime. He said it was good.
Good.
So I enjoyed that. You got Beer Study out in Durham, Beer Study out in Carborough. I know that's been a popular spot for people to come get it. I am working some new places potentially, including the potential of a Blue Cup maybe by football season.
Okay.
Just saying, just something to keep an eye on. So shout out to everybody who's purchased the beer. If you need some more heads up as to where it is, just let us know. We'll tell you where it is. But right now you can get it at P Street Market in downtown Raleigh, State of Beer / Ben Bar in downtown Raleigh, Beer Study in Carborough, Beer Study in Durham, and Shady's. Rialto's got it. Longleaf has it as well. Shout out to Dave, Chef Dave. I saw Adam and Dave at Getting Piggy with it over the weekend. All good stuff. You can get OG Lime there as well. Big thanks to our guy, Matt Davis, over at State Farm. Check him out online at insuregarner.com, 919-779-8277. You can save money on home and auto. More importantly, you can start thinking about the future because Matt does financial planning as well. So start that conversation today by visiting insuregarner.com or calling him directly at 919-779-8277. Roback continues to drop new stuff all the time. If you haven't checked out the website in a while, do so. A lot of great new patterns that have popped up on roback.com. New hoodie styles as well. So just go to roback.com, use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Want to get patriotic? Getting right for the 4th of July, things like that? Your summer cookouts? Man, they got all sorts of new patterns. All great stuff. So again, roback.com, use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Speaking of saving a percentage off a deal, that is what our friends at Bloomin' Blinds want to do for you. Hit up Bloomin' Blinds at 919-980-9815. BloominBlinds.com is the website. Chris and Nico and the crew are going to take care of OG listeners. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. 15% off straight up. You got, like I said, a blinds you want to install. You got some automation, maybe a pergola. Again, 15% off. Just tell them that you heard about Bloomin' Blinds on the podcast. That's 919-980-9815. And now that we know the Cane schedule, we know your Two Roosters schedule. TwoRoosters.com. Back in the building. Get your Slavin Sunday. You got some parties coming up for the summer, end of year, things like that. Maybe you got a wedding, last minute edition. Two Roosters will be on location for you. TwoRoosters.com to find out more. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, our old friend, national NHL play-by-play John Forslund, who will have the national radio call on Sports USA of the Eastern Conference Finals. John, back in the building. Welcome back, John.
Hello, boys. Great to see you both, and continued success. I'm a frequent listener, watcher, whatever we do with these things.
We appreciate that. We appreciate that. As we appreciate, Joe and I appreciate podcast success through the likes of Buffalo or Montreal. Like, we can't lose in the Eastern Conference Finals if you're local, because Buffalo fans are so thirsty for this. And we've seen what's happened in Montreal. And of course, there's history, John. History between either the Carolina Hurricanes, Buffalo Sabres, Carolina Hurricanes, Montreal Canadiens. I love the setup.
Well, at long last, after all these years, the rivalries present themselves, and we talk about rivalries. I'm trying to, people ask me in Seattle, did the Kraken have a rival? And I just say, no, they don't. There's nobody that's a rival, because until you really play in a playoff series, that's where you establish rivalry. There's no geographic rivalries anymore, really. I guess in New York, there would be, and Philadelphia, places like that, but certainly it's gone away. And here, in this case, you're right. The history of the Montreal Canadiens against the Hurricanes way back when, the history of the Buffalo Sabres, I'm pretty sure Lindy Ruff, the coach, hasn't gotten over any of that stuff.
Absolutely.
And we asked about what happened in 06, and he'll go there eventually. He'll talk about his broken down back end and 3 call-ups from Rochester, I believe, that had to play in Game 7. And I still think he's paging the league for a review on the goal that was scored by Brett Hull back in 1999. So this will be very interesting to see where all this goes.
I forgot about 99.
I don't blame him for that one. There's certain things you can never get over.
This is true.
I still laugh at the pettiness of they had champagne. They had what was
that was bad. Right. Yeah, I was there for that, and that was gamesmanship, and it was brutal gamesmanship. And poor Peter Laviolette had all the great intentions. There's a really good story surrounding that team that year, that entire season.
Yes.
And for Lindy to use his rats as moles to get to that. Boy, you're bringing up all this stuff in me right now. I'm getting very excited about this. I'm going back to my my Hurricane roots here. But anyway, that was interesting. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for Lindy. But this will be an interesting series if it's that way. And if it's the Habs, You got the fan bases too, right? There's going to be a battle between the Caniacs, the huge Caniacs, who will present themselves as the best fan base in the history of the game. Mm-hmm. And then you've got Montreal and you got Buffalo. And Buffalo's always, got a chip on their shoulder. And anyway, it'll be fun.
I don't have a computer brain like you, John. So when I go to the games, I have to get the sheet. And you could have knocked me over with a feather when I realized that Lindy Ruff was Buffalo's coach. I realized he's still not Buffalo coach, but it was almost like I got dropped into the DeLorean and we hit 1.21 gigawatts, because I'm like, wait a second, how could Lindy Ruff look like he was 106?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He actually looks better now.
I think he does. Yeah,
he does.
He looks better now at 66.
Yeah,
he did it at 46.
But he's a tremendous story, a true lifer, and again, he wasn't. If everybody's telling the truth, boys, he wasn't supposed to be the coach past the Christmas holiday. No. So they were out in Seattle in the middle of December. They had won 3 games in a row. And we heard some strong rumors coming from the people that follow them that the managerial change was forthcoming and that Lindy was going to probably be replaced and given a job in the organization. And they never stopped from that point on with 39 wins or whatever it was, from that point. Absolutely incredible. So for him to be here, and the potential of being in the next round as we do this, it's an interesting story. It really is.
And also, this Kevin Adams is no longer the general manager of Buffalo, right? You got, speaking of all these ties and hockey being what it is, he was part of the 06 Stanley Cup run, longtime alternate captain for the Carolina Hurricanes. So I guess we can kind of set up Buffalo and Montreal as we look ahead to the start of the Eastern Conference Finals on Thursday. Let's talk about this team that I guess Kevin Adams was trying to put together, trying to make work, trying to get back into this position. How much of this is his work? How much of this is just finally coming into fruition? How did Buffalo get to where they are now?
Well, I think you can make a case for Kevin being the executive of the year in the NHL.
Based on where we're at.
He built the team.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that Jarmo Kekalainen came in and just said one thing, that, his meeting with the players was direct. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's anything off the charts. I think he would say this in his situation to any team, but it was accountability. And this is it, boys. So we're not going to accept anything from this point on. Mm-hmm. You better figure this out and listen to this coach, or changes will be throughout.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they picked up on it, but Kevin put the team in place. Kevin built the team. Mm-hmm. Kevin made the trades, drafted many of the players. Some of the players like Dahlin go back to the previous general manager, but for the most part, it's his footprint. It's his team. He was Pagula's guy, the owner. He's his guy through and through. So I think you could make a case. He's not one of the finalists, but I've never seen a situation in my career like this where there's a GM change and the team goes nuts. Yeah. Usually it's all about coaching. Yeah. They dislike the coach. The message has grown to be something that they don't accept anymore. And then you see a change, right? But in this case, it's upstairs, and it's a night and day difference in terms of the way they performed.
What do you think happens tonight in that one game? 7?
I don't know.
Who's to say?
Far?
This series is crazy
for a Tuesday start. Honestly,
this series is crazy. At least in the previous round, Buffalo had an edge over Boston for me, no matter what. Okay, but I had Tampa beating Montreal, as I think most people did. I thought Tampa would be the hurdle the Hurricanes would need to get over to get to where they want to go eventually. It's not going to happen. And then Tampa Bay completely dominates Game 7. They didn't allow a shot in 27 minutes of playing time, and they lose the game on an odd goal against a Hall of Fame goaltender. And Montreal moves on. This series has come off the rails. This series has, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I've looked at a lot of the fancy numbers, which can make you sick when you look at this, because with any of the statistics that we look at, you need conclusion. When you look at a stat, you better have a conclusion. These are all numbers that don't make any sense to me. So they get to a game 7 tonight, and this is one situation where I think it's fair to say who knows. And if you want to pick a team, go right ahead and do it. But you've got a very young Montreal team that's trying to get somewhere they never thought they'd get to at this stage of their development. A young goalie who's been a great story until maybe the last game or two. The Buffalo Sabres can't find a goalie. You know, they put a call into Ryan Miller to see if he can come back and play game 7. This is interesting, and then you've got the way Buffalo has played all year. Along with Minnesota in the West, those are the two teams not at the top of their conferences that may be the two best teams in the league. So I don't know. I don't. And home ice doesn't really matter. So it'll be interesting.
I just feel like we are set up for everything. Everything is record breaking right now. That's the trajectory, right? So the Carolina Hurricanes are the first team in the modern era to go 8-0 to start the playoffs, double sweeps, right? When I think 1 for 1, I think 85 at Edmonton Oilers and 2026 Carolina Hurricanes. So 1 for 1. Hopefully people pick up on the sarcasm. You've got Colorado on the other end, and we haven't had a 1 versus 1 top team from the West, top team from the East, I think since 2001, if I'm not mistaken. I just feel like that's set up along with the fact that the Canes are even doing record-breaking days off between rounds. As we wait for Thursday to get the next series going on. It just seems like every number points to this. And this gets us to the Canes and what you've seen so far, that we've been doing this long enough now under Rod Brind'Amour, where they are the experienced playoff team. They are the one that has the edge over a Montreal or a Buffalo, who might be ahead of schedule, or a young team that's trying to get over. That paid off against Philadelphia. It clearly paid off against Ottawa. I got to imagine it would pay off again in the Eastern Conference Finals. Not another sweep, but ultimately it will pay off for the Hurricanes.
The word intimidation gets used a lot in hockey, any contact sport. But the intimidation factor somehow has swayed now this season in favor of the Hurricanes. When they got to the third round last year, Florida still had that element of manpower and a physically demanding style and a forecheck that would punish you and force you to come out of your comfort zone. To me, the only way you beat the Hurricanes is to get them out of their comfort zone. They will win the Stanley Cup and have every season for being that team that has a lead, plays with the lead, checks you into the ice, dictates the game on their terms. If they are allowed to play that way, win the special teams wars, and that's if the goaltending continues down the road it's been on, then they're going to win. But there doesn't appear to be a team until maybe they get to the fourth round, if they do, that will have any kind of intimidating factor or edge on where the Hurricanes are at right now. So even Buffalo, Montreal emerge tonight, whoever it is, they go into the next round, even though there's been this ridiculous layoff. So what? That means Rod can skate them more and get them in a better level of conditioning than maybe they've had all season because of the way the year was compressed and nobody practiced all year. Now he's had 2 training camps, really. And that feeds their lion. That's how they play. They play at a high rate of speed, as you guys know. And the more skating foundation you have, the better it is. So they're going to be the intimidating team until somehow they're out of their comfort zone. And that has to come maybe with a couple of stinky goals and some question marks. Or if they lose the first game of the series and everybody starts the conference final narrative, these are the things they haven't had to deal with. To be fair, I don't think they've had any adversity. And you don't know what kind of team you're dealing with until that happens. And it might not happen in the third round.
It might not. And I was going to chime in right there with what you just said. And I said this back in Philadelphia when they swept. It's great that they've gotten to this point. And I have zero issues with people dunking on national media about what they thought about the Canes and how Ottawa was different, yada, yada, yada. But you cannot, under any circumstances, lose game 1 on Thursday. You cannot. I don't care who the opponent is. You can't do it because of what you just laid out. Everybody's going to run back to that conversation about how they've only had 1 Eastern Conference Finals win in 3 attempts. Throw out 2019 if you want, but that still holds true that you've been bumping up against it. And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with you're right back there having the conversation?
And that's right, Joe. And it's interesting. How do they deal with it? How does a coach handle it? Does he get frustrated? Because Rod, we love him, but he gets a little unglued, if it starts going down a bad road.
How low will the hat go?
The hat will go low,
like down to the
down there, and and then you get to the officiating and all these different things, right? But I was, and again, let me just defend national media people, okay? They're not, let's just tell all the great fans here, they're not out to get you, okay? They really enjoy coming here. They love the weather. They love the atmosphere outside the building. In my opinion, the building needs a few upgrades, okay? We could work on that.
They're getting there.
I think it's fair. They'll get there eventually. Yeah, we all will. But anyway, this is the thing. You got to look at a thing objectively. And I believe, because I see Ottawa quite a bit on Amazon on Monday nights in Canada, okay?
Yeah.
They were a terrific team that just needed goaltending, and it came around in the second half of the year. And if you want to get to analytics and compare analytics, Hurricanes versus Ottawa, very close. And in some ways, Ottawa had an edge. And then I think the worst thing that happened for Ottawa was an ill-advised fight, 3 seconds or whatever it was into game one.
Mm-hmm.
Brady Tkachuk, you got to be smarter. Save that for later in the series. What you did is take on a guy who's bigger, stronger, and was willing. And as soon as Jordan Staal handled himself in that fight, okay, there's the first thing that used to run Carolina out of the building was physical intimidation. Well, it's not going to happen now. And then as soon as they took care of Ottawa, and then the second game of the series was really close, and that could have gone either way. But once they did them and away with them in 4 games, I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, Philadelphia, come on now, please. That's just a young team that happened to be in the right neighborhood and beat Pittsburgh, and here they are, So the Hurricanes are really impressive. They really are. They've had a remarkable season. They've got everything going in their direction. The one thing is, when there's a glitch, what happens next? They have to determine that. And it happens to every team, every playoff year, but for them, it hasn't happened yet. And again, I'll go back to what I said. It might not happen in the third round.
I want to ask you about 2 guys who you were there with at the beginning. One plays for the Hurricanes, one plays for another team. Let's start with the one that plays for the Hurricanes, Jacob Slavin. And I feel like Jacob Slavin, starting with last year's 4 Nations, continuing with this year into the regular season, his truncated regular season, but now into the playoffs. I think he's really starting to get for all of the people who were sleeping on him, the eyes are like wide awake about how good he really is. But let's go back to the beginning, because this is a guy who's a 4th round pick, probably like most defensemen, doesn't get to the NHL until 3 years after he's drafted. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, could anyone, could even Ron Francis, who drafted him, see this? Or was this more of a guy who really blossomed in a way where you hope you see the frame and you see the makeup of a player, but you maybe who knew it could become the best defenseman in the NHL?
Well, I think aside from the scouts, and it was Burt Marshall that scouted Jacob Slavin back in the day, USHL, Colorado College. But it was Glenn Wesley who made the call. We still talk, and back in those days, we talked almost every day. But in his role as a scout and a development person, there were 2 guys that jump out that I heard right away. Like the first game Justin Falk ever played up in Traverse City, he called and said, this kid's a stud. Okay. And that was after seeing him in 1 game in that environment. All right. He was right about that. The next guy he had high marks for was Slavin and Pesce, both of them. And I think, the thing was, when was the right time? And I think it was either middle or late November of the year when they were called up for the first time, and the team was a train wreck and needed something. And these 2 guys were coming in, but no one saw this coming. But I will say about what Ron was able to do with his management group was get to team friendly extensions on both guys before it was too late. So they did do a really good job of controlling both Pesce until it was too late, and they let him go. But Slavin, and then Jacob, has worked with the team in the last contract. I think he took a very team-friendly deal. for all the right reasons. He loves it here. He loves the team. He believes in the program, and that's his right as a player. Pesci knew this, and I think he wanted to put himself in a different vein, changed agents, got to a big agency, the one that controls Austin Matthews and many others, and they, put him on the market, and away he goes. And we'll see how it works out for him. But in terms of Jacob Slavin, hockey people have known all along, the coaches, the scouts, the managers, the people you get to talk to when you do what I do on a regular basis, how good he is. Unfortunately, and this can be said for the entirety of hockey, everybody's underrated. Everybody is not seen by everybody until you get to a stage like this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, Josh Doan's a really good hockey player. Zach Benson is a really good, well, no kidding. Okay. But now everybody's getting to see this. And with Jacob, he's trying to be elite, and he was elite for a long time. And that's the defensive thing kills me, because now it seems like the Norris Trophy is going to point producers who play defense and not as much all around players. And I think, Jacob, sure, he doesn't have the offensive flair of a lot of these other guys. And the only guy who played like Slavin, but he still had more offensive output, was Lidstrom. And I think it's fair to put Jacob in many ways in a straight-on comparison with Nicholas Lidstrom, who, for my money, was one of the best defensemen I've ever covered. I never covered Bobby Orr. Some people have a hard time believing that, but I did not cover Bobby Orr. But I was a young boy, and I think he's the greatest hockey player that ever walked, okay, in my opinion. But Slavin has been able to put a lot of that in play without manning a power play, without putting himself in position where he could pad his offensive numbers. But for a long time, he was playing against the best players all the time, even when the team was bad, even when the team was struggling and we had, Bill Peters making the calls here. I mean, he would match Slavin up against great players. And if you go way back in those games, which were played, 9:30 Eastern time, and nobody paid attention to the Hurricanes and all this different stuff in that era, you've got a guy like Slavin playing against a young McDavid. And he always played well against McDavid. And he'd come out of that game, he'd be like, well, he contained him. He contained Connor McDavid. He must be pretty good. So, hey, listen, they're going to retire his number here someday. Unbelievable player. And I'm glad to see him getting some recognition, although I find it, as a hockey purist, this Norris Trophy conversation has become sickening to me, because some of these guys, that rack up 60 to 80 points, like an Evan Bouchard. Okay, Evan Bouchard, I respect him. He's going to get you 80 to 100 points playing with that team on defense. He can't even carry his equipment when it comes to defensive play. So why should he be in the Norris conversation and not Slavin? It doesn't make any sense to me.
So Slavin's the one who stays, goes into the Hall of Fame, gets his number retired. The one not here, but I have a feeling they will see, is Marty Necas. And you were there at the beginning of Marty Necas' career. The speed, the skill have always been obvious. Always.
Where's your hoodie?
My hoodie's right here.
Okay. I had to get him a Necas hoodie. He's been missing Necas.
And it could be as simple as he's playing with Nathan McKinnon and Kel McCarr on the power play. It could be that. 100 points though. Hurricanes have not had a 100-point player since 2006. If everyone wants to answer the national media question, there's the answer to the question. That's why outside media look at the team and go, they're not very good because they don't have these points. You could apply all the same things John just said about Slavin defensively to the Hurricanes themselves, because they don't have a superstar of that ilk with these points and the production and knocking your socks off. So anyway, Necas, his blossoming with Colorado, and he's only got 1 goal in this postseason, but he's got 10 assists. Just kind of what you see from him. And do you think this is a case of it working out for both sides, that Necas needed to get out of here and that the Hurricanes did well to get what they got in return in Stankoven, Hall, and Miller?
Yeah. Okay. This is a great question, as always. Here we go. The key for any franchise, and this is really in hockey, because hockey has so much that's random about the game and a lot of luck sometimes. You're not breaking down game plans You're not looking at, a football team and how they, prepare, blah, blah, blah. There is preparation, don't get me wrong, in hockey, but games can, for a lot of reasons, go off the rails and you lose. And then what you have to do is answer the following question. The difference between perception and reality. Okay. And it comes into play with certain players. So when you have a player like Natchez as a young player, you as an organization have to understand what the reality is attached to that guy, not the perception. Look at Mitch Marner and what's happened to him. Now, I've listened to these Maple Leafs people. Again, for the folks that don't know, I do Amazon, Prime Monday Night Hockey, national game every Monday night in Canada. And I've listened to this narrative on Mitch Marner for a few years now. He gets you 100 points. He kills penalties. He anchors a 5-forward power play up top because he can actually skate backwards and defend. He is an amazing elite top 10 player for sure, maybe top 5. But in the playoffs, it doesn't work, and we got to get rid of him. Well, when you do that, then you look back and you look what's happening now with the Maple Leafs and what has happened. And you look what's happened to Mitch Marner and what he's doing right now, leading the playoffs in scoring. And I just saw him the other night in the closeout game in Anaheim, and it was an absolutely phenomenal performance. Marty Natchez, for years, was looked at as this budding star. Everybody knew that. The people that drafted him knew that. Ron Francis and his scouting staff knew that back in 2017. At the very beginning of this Dundon ownership and the Ron Francis, demise and see you later, there was an early push about moving a player like that who we hadn't even seen yet. And Ronnie was reluctant to do it. And I know that Ronnie gets a lot of flack for being conservative, not making a big trade, so on and so forth. And a lot of that is true. Mm-hmm. But, in his mindset at the time, we have to hang on to these assets. This guy's going to be a good player. So it took a while, because Bill Peters wasn't a fan initially of this kid's game. And then he finally matriculates in the National Hockey League and performs well. But then when you get to the playoffs, there's that bad Marty narrative that surrounds him, and it leads to him being available to acquire a true superstar, which Tom is always after, and that was Mikko Rantanen. So now, Mikko Rantanen comes, and there's no question you got the best player. I mean, he is the best player. He still is the best player, with all due respect to Logan Stankoven, who's a winner and a solid young player, but not yet at least. The resume for Rantanen is Hall of Fame like, okay? And, it didn't work out this year. He was injured in the Olympics, and that's a big reason why he had a bad playoff. Yeah. Getting back to Marty, Natchez is part of this deal. They swing it around. They get good players who work in Rod's program, and they work hard, and it works out. Player for player, there's no real comparison until Natchez gets into an environment like he's in. Probably got a kick in the pants because he was traded, not as comfortable anymore. Goes to a really good team, but you can go to a really good team, and unless you have high-end talent, it's not going to play out like this. So the one thing I will say about all these moves that have been made with the Hurricanes is this. If you play devil's advocate, and if they just had a little bit more patience and made it work, would they have won the cup by now? Because they have moved the chairs around a lot.
No.
Okay. And maybe they would have, and maybe they wouldn't have. Who the heck knows? No. But, when you look at it, I think they've made this trade, and Marty has gone on to what I believe is going to be a career that's going to have a lot of stardom attached to it. I really believe that. I believe in that player. Maybe you guys don't, but I do.
No, I think he's super talented, but yeah. I'm a little bit of a, what does Mike like to call me? Am I the Debbie Downer of this program?
Every so often you like to come in and tell, I'm going to give you some credit. You're trying to be the voice of reason while we're all caught up in the moment sometimes.
John, I've picked up an AP assignment, so I've been to way more games than these are the games I went to this year.
Wow.
So I get myself sometimes to the Glenn Wesley, which is why I love Wes, amongst other reasons. Sure. When you see it, you know it, man. Mm-hmm. And you don't need a fucking book of numbers. No. You don't need a month.
But sometimes but the thing is, we all agree here, and John, what I've been kind of preaching when it comes to Natchez is that the time between Natchez and the Canes was coming to an end. There was the bridge deal for a reason. And sometimes, as you said, you need a swift kick in the ass and be challenged a little bit to see how you respond.
Which maybe he was, but he was playing his best hockey here, which is how they were able to get Rantanen for him.
Yes.
Right.
He's also playing his best hockey here because he also knows he's got a contract coming up as well. Never underestimate contract motivation.
Or they all know that though.
They all know their contract.
They all know that.
To your question, though, which I think is more interesting, I think the Natchez stuff, we're only going to find out one way only if we get the Mikko Rantanen Bowl for the Stanley Cup Finals, which we could. We had these two teams that don't have Mikko.
We're on track.
And we're on track for this, right? Now, would they have won the Cup if they make all this stuff? My answer to that is still no, because sometimes it ain't your time. Sometimes it's just not your time. It was Florida's time. It was Florida's time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for the Canes, we're going to run into that one. Maybe they would have won more than one game in the last Eastern Conference Finals, but I don't think that they were going to get over on Florida because Florida does what the Hurricanes do, but with dudes, like actual dudes, which the Hurricanes
that's true. Yeah, that part's true. That's part true.
And Rod talks about how they're doing all the same things we're doing. That's right, correct. But sometimes you're doing it with a level of player that you just don't have. It's impressive that the Canes have been able to do this, which gets down to the final aspect of this. And you mentioned the rest and why it's a benefit for this too. The biggest X factor in all of this has been goaltending. And we've seen some wild goaltending so far this season. This postseason, we've also seen some insane goals. I mean, I get we're caught up in the moment, but I cannot recall, John, a postseason that has featured this amount of ridiculous ricochets, or in the Buffalo Montreal season, a puck that just dead bounces off a pad and then that changes the course of the game and things like that. Meanwhile, the Canes, and I know Canes fans are about to lose their shit when I say this, they have actually experienced a combination of really good Freddie Anderson play plus some, how the fuck did that bounce off the post like that and not in? How is
poor Stutzla?
Right. How is
bastards?
Or in the case of Philadelphia, it's like, how is Slavin at the right place at the right time all the time? Like all the time. And the puck doesn't bounce over a stick rather than it being right there at the line. So this has all worked out wonderfully for the Canes because Freddie Anderson has never been able to have his battery recharge like this in other postseasons. When there have been some questions about the rotation, do you keep going to Freddie? Has he overextended himself? Should they have gone back to Kochetkov? We were debating when do they go to Bussy. They haven't needed to have that conversation. No. So if you're going to do it, this is the time to do it because my goodness, it's worked out perfectly for Freddie Anderson.
Yeah, and unless they're, and I don't know if either Montreal or Buffalo can do this, unless you're going to get inside and make it miserable on any goalie. But certainly Freddie, first shot, pretty technically sound, even though he has gone through a myriad of injuries and, play that, you shake your head at, and then, he falters under pressure.
John, that was in January. We were having these conversations in this calendar year already.
And there's some doubt before the playoffs start, should it be Bussy's net, right? So, because that kid's played unbelievably well, obviously. But then you get to the old story of, well, how do you get to be a waiver claim at 27, and how did this happen? And is this a one-off or is this real? He hasn't had to prove that yet. Freddie now has done that. He has made exceptional first saves. He has made big saves under pressure. He had an overtime that was off the charts in this playoff year. Yeah, the plumbing's been rattling behind him. Yeah, there's been some opportunities that have been close, but that's where you get to the randomness of hockey. And to win, every team throughout history has always said you got to be good, you got to be lucky, and you got to be healthy. Those are three things. They have two of those, and they've handled their side of good fortune. So, will that continue? Sometimes your luck runs out, but that's part of the game. So that's just, as somebody says, that's hockey, right? So that's just part of the game. That's how it works. And so, good for him, because if you lay it all out, body of work, talent, everything among the three goalies they have, Freddie Anderson wins.
Yes.
Freddie's got the resume. Freddie's got the talent. He's always been an exceptionally talented goalie. His technique is beautiful, and he's big. So when he goes into that butterfly, when he cheats a little bit low, he's still covering a lot of net, and he manages to be upright, and you got to beat him with exceptional shots upstairs. But if it's only one, and the D is doing a great job of clearing the front and boxing out, and the forwards are helping, and that's the key to Rod's game, because Rod's team game is second to none in all three zones of the ice. That's what you have to break through. Get them out of their comfort zone. That's why they don't take a lot of penalties, because they're never really out of position. They'll take some ridiculous penalties in the offensive zone, led by one of their top players who seems to do it over and over again. But, this is right. But then they have an exceptional penalty kill. Yeah. And the reason why they do is because they have a great 5-on-5 game. So they can play that way. And until a team exposes them, either with their power play against the Hurricanes or gets to the interior of the ice, the goaltending is going to continue. And I will say, if you look back at history, at the numbers of all the goalies in this era, all of them have had great numbers. There was a case for Ned back in the day to win Rookie of the Year.
Uh-huh.
There was Peter Mrazek playing his best. James Reimer, Curtis McElhaney. Go right down the list. Antti Ranta. All these goalies have had exceptional GAA, save percentage, all of that playing for this coach. It's the system too.
John Forslund, play-by-play, Seattle Kraken. You will hear him on the national radio broadcast on Sports USA. And who knows? We'll see where we go with the Stanley Cup Finals. We might be seeing more of you over the next month or so. John, we appreciate it as always. We will see you in the building on Thursday. Yes. I'm guessing you'll be right behind us. You'll be right
behind you guys. Yeah, right behind you.
Not one thing better. I love it.
All right.
We'll talk to you later, man.
It's been a pleasure. Keep up the great work. Okay. Thanks. See you soon.
Always fun catching up with John Forslund. And we'll be back catching up with Maniscalco this week as the Canes are back in action on Thursday night, which, of course, all of our conversations with Maniscalco brought to you by our friends at Brassfield Accounting. Check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. We're sitting here thinking about selling Bappel to pay for things. I'm imagining that Chris would be like, all right, well, how are you going to register that exactly?
We just wouldn't tell anybody.
Yeah, because nobody listens. Nobody knows what we're trying to do here. So if you see Bappel on the open market, it's not us.
It's a shadow company.
Of course, Chris would be like, no, guys, that's not how it works.
It's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing. See, this is the kind of advice you need. This is the kind of guidance you need. That
Governor
is a fractional CFO. That is what Chris can do for you. So hit him up, brassfieldaccounting.com. He'll tell you, not a great idea, guys. Not a great idea. And of course, he'll have you prepared for tax season in 2027 because you never stop thinking about taxes. brassfieldaccounting.com. Just like you never started thinking about home improvement projects. What can you do next? How am I going to pay for that? Well, Miller Lending might be the answer. Use the equity in your home. Refinance. Don't pay closing costs. 919-447-3377. MillerLending.com. I'm surprised Gordon hasn't bum rushed the studio to talk about the rigged NBA after the Detroit Pistons went no show last night. We don't feel like playing into Game 7.
Yeah.
That was bad. What the hell was that about? Is that part of the conspiracy, Gordon? Oof. I feel like I should text him. Didn't seem rigged last night.
That was gross for Detroit.
You know what else is gross? Paying closing costs. That's gross. Don't do it. Just don't do it. You're not saving money in the long run. You think you're saving money because you get a slightly lower rate. Nah, the math doesn't math on that because nobody keeps their mortgage for 20 years anymore. They don't keep their mortgage for 30 years anymore. You're constantly finding ways to utilize the equity in your home. So don't pay closing costs and save money every time. 919-447-3377, MillerLending.com. In fact, with all the money you save from refinancing on Miller Lending, take a little something and treat yourself. Go to Fox and Bailey, get yourself a watch.
Let's go.
Get yourself a watch. It's actually having dinner with some friends, and there was a treat yourself moment. Had an Omega Speedmaster. You know where you can get a fine collection of Omega Speedmasters?
Fox and Bailey.
In fact, they have their own section for it.
That's right.
Okay.
They have everything, but the Omegas they know.
Yeah, they definitely know the Omegas. And they will also buy watches from you as well. So maybe you're looking to upgrade. Maybe you've got something in your collection that just hasn't been worn in a long time. There's always a market for it. Just like Bappel. There's always a market for Bappel.
You'd be surprised.
There's always a market for your Rolex. So check out Fox and Bailey. Visit BaileyBox.com. Again, that's BaileyBox.com. So did you take money on the dude who won the PGA Championship? It's like 200 to 1 odds.
The odds were tremendous. Aaron Rye, the science guy, the golf guy.
He made more money winning the PGA Championship than he did in all of 2025.
Yeah, 3.7 million.
It's impressive.
Yeah. No, I used to bet on Aaron Rye on the European Tour.
Okay.
Because he wears the 2 gloves.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to tear it up on the European Tour.
So apparently I'm not a weirdo because I used to wear 2 gloves back in the time in which I thought I was going to pick up golf.
Yeah.
It was very baseball of me.
The best player at Eagle Ridge, Johnny Gags.
Yeah.
2 gloves.
So is this
never? Well, if I saw you with 2 gloves, I would I'd have to look at your belt. That would be my next assessment.
So is this a thing?
But never trust a guy with 2 gloves, man.
Is this like the old Mr. Mittens, the old David Carr, like quarterback with 2 gloves? I don't know if I could trust you.
Different. No, I'm saying never trust a guy. He's hustling you if he's wearing 2 gloves.
If he's wearing 2 gloves.
Yeah,
okay.
anyone with a funky putter and 2 gloves.
Okay.
You don't get into a gambling match with them.
All right. Fair enough. What I found interesting about this particular golf tournament is that there's been an uptick in what to do with live golfers.
Okay.
Now that live is supposed to fight on its own. Good luck with that. They don't have a television deal worth a damn. Without
they have no funding.
Without the Saudi investment. For real quick context here, because we haven't really spent too much time talking about this. But the Saudi investment fund decided, we could still, we have a lot of money, very Tom Dundon of them. I got money. I just don't want to spend it on you anymore because we're not getting a return on investment of that anymore. So they're allowing Live to go secure its own funding to figure something out by 2027. What do you think the chances of Live Golf finding funding in 2027 are?
None.
Speaking of odds,
none.
Like what are more insane odds? This guy who just won at the PGA Championship or them getting funding?
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out a way to integrate the players back onto the PGA Tour, the ones that want to come back. And, Bryson DeChambeau, who was awful at the PGA, awful, and which is surprising because he has been tremendous. A, at the PGA Championship. B, on Donald Ross courses. Of course, he won the U.S. Open in 24 at Pinehurst #2. So
finished
it was
plus 7.
He did not make the cut. It wasn't even close. He was terrible.
Jeez.
He has been talking about instead of paying the penalties to go back to the PGA Tour, which is essentially you're forfeiting money. You're not paying a penalty. You're essentially forfeiting money. Okay. The thinking there being you took so much money to leave to go on live that it's only fair to the players here that you can't earn the different signature event monies and FedEx points, the extra bonus money that is eligible, the PGA Tour players are eligible for.
Yeah.
That's the premise. You can be like Brooks Koepka and still play in the events, but you just can't take the extra money. So Bryson DeChambeau, John Rahm are both kind of like, not really interested in that. And Rahm has been working back channels to try to figure out to make a deal on the European Tour, which some other players have already done.
Well, I was going to say it's Patrick Reed who's been on the DP World Tour.
Patrick Reed basically said what Patrick Reed is doing as someone who hasn't won a major since the Masters back in 16 or 17 or 18.
17.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, 2017 was the last time he won.
What he's doing is he's earning his tour card by going on the DP World Tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's doing it the old fashioned way.
Okay. So
he's
he'll
not
be
asking for anything.
So he'll be good to go. He'll be good to go by 2027 then.
He'll be good to go by the end of this year because he's won twice now already on the European Tour. The trick Koepka was allowed to do, which Cameron Smith, John Rahm, and DeChambeau are eligible to do because they've won a major. They would be able to come back on the tour.
Yeah.
Koepka was the only one who took the deal though to say
when they had a window.
Yeah, I will not take the money that I would be otherwise eligible for. Rahm is interesting because what his primary objective was to be eligible for the Ryder Cup. DeChambeau is going to be an interesting test case because he thinks, and up until this week, I would have little reason to doubt him, that he could stay sharp just by playing golf on YouTube. His YouTube following is tremendous.
It is.
Now, financially, I don't doubt that he can make that work. But competitively, I wonder if he would be able to stay sharp. The early results suggest, but he tinkers so much with everything that he does, from printing his own clubs to everything else.
About that, there was this idea that I subscribed to, that because Live Golf wasn't challenging you, no cuts, any of that stuff, right? The format's different, it's shorter. There's no actual pressure to win on LIV. You just made all your money. The people are trying to find a direct correlation from those LIV golfers, and then once you get back into a PGA or US Open or Masters environment, how competitive are you going to be? Now, coming off the Masters, all these LIV golfers didn't do so hot, but the PGA Championship seemed to have changed some of that thought, right? So like this week, you've got LIV golfers like Jon Rahm, who finished second, Cameron Smith, who was inside the top 10, who's a David Puig guy.
Okay.
Finished in the top 20 along with Neiman. And then you got some other guys like Dustin Johnson that were +2.
Yeah.
I mean, they made the cut, but it was a lot better showing this go round than it was at the Masters, where the majority of these guys missed the cut. I think they only had one guy finish in the top 20, if I'm not mistaken, from LIV.
Yeah.
So people are trying to. So
but he's not really on the LIV anymore.
But he's not on LIV. And that's the thing. It's like where Patrick Reed was actually playing competitive golf because he's trying to get his tour card back on the DP World Tour, right? So this PGA Championship has thrown some of that talking point off kilter in how well they finished. And now it starts becoming what do you want to do with these golfers to punish them or make them actually feel some level of pain before they come back? And you also have some people who are still miffed about the fact that these guys left, like Jon Rahm. I saw this uptick on social media. I guess somebody for Golf Digest wrote some piece about the legacy of Jon Rahm and leaving for LIV ruined his reputation that he could earn back depending on how he plays on the PGA Tour and stuff like that. Meanwhile, Lee Westwood is mad online going after this writer. You know, all these guys that are tied to LIV. It's just a very delicate situation based on what I can tell in the golf world, which I find fascinating. Like, you want to bring me into golf? This kind of stuff is very interesting to me because how do you reincorporate people who completely they almost put you out of business?
Right.
How do you welcome them back?
Right. And that's the compromise that they had set up was the one that Koepka took.
Yeah.
But Rahm and DeChambeau didn't. It doesn't sound like whatever the language is in their contract, which remember, it was an exorbitant amount of money that Rahm, DeChambeau, and Koepka in particular took to leave the PGA Tour. Cam Smith as well, because remember, he left after he had won the British Open in 23.
I think the last number I saw was DeChambeau made over $11 million for LIV.
No, like $100 or $211 million.
Was it more than that?
Yeah.
Oh,
they didn't leave for $11 million. They left for triple digit, 9 digits. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm misreading. He took the upfront cash, but he's made that amount of money winning on LIV.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rahm and DeChambeau actually won some tournaments and some whatever the team purses
and there's
are.
A payout
but no,
for
they took hundreds of millions of dollars to get them in particular. And that's what the strategy was. They thought they could get the best players, and then the PGA Tour would crumble. To the PGA Tour's credit, they were able to make an adjustment and keep the players that they were, and also kind of convince some of these guys that there is some prestige and history in the competitive level that's necessary. If LIV had decided to be whatever the Roman numerals are for 72, then maybe we have a different conversation. Maybe because those players maybe could have. There are good ideas at LIV. They have some good ideas.
Sure.
And
without LIV, the tournament purse that we just talked about
doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
So there are good things that they had for the game of golf. And it was Greg Norman's ideas that he tried to get the PGA Tour to break off and do back in the 90s. But then this guy named Tiger Woods came around and basically said, hey, no, you're no longer. Yeah. I'm the captain now, Shark.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's interesting how it's all kind of played out. And it has fizzled out. I feel like LIV has fizzled out is what has really happened here. But there's a lot of politics in play, including Donald Trump and the war, and there's a lot involved here.
Yeah, all those things are ancillary. Ultimately, you have to get people to give a shit about what you're doing, and nobody gave a shit about what LIV Golf was doing. Nobody watched.
I understand that.
Nobody went to the events.
But I think Donald Trump was part of all of the machinations that had happened since everyone had left. And what some of the reporting has been is this is the Saudis basically saying, using the war as an excuse to say,
oh, sure,
we're not funding this anymore, almost out of like their protest. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
So Trump is hugely involved in the world of golf.
This is true. He has events that take place at his course.
Because remember, they left his courses. They came back this year. I'm telling you, there's a lot of back room, or with him, who knows what room, Could be in the West, right there in the West Wing.
Could be in Mar-a-Lago. I have no idea.
Who knows? But I'm just saying he has been heavily involved on the live side and some of these other decisions that get made.
Not going to dismiss that.
Yeah.
What I'm getting at though is, in order for you to function, you have to have people care about you. Okay.
Yeah.
And regardless of who, they got all these names and it became a circus sideshow that they went to live. But people were not talking about live events. People were not talking about like, hey, such and such just won. I had no idea that any of these guys won on the live tour. Right. But I know who won on the PGA tour.
Mm-hmm.
I know who was winning at the major championships and those types of things. And the events that they were playing, the television deal that they had, all those things, at some point you can back out any way you want, but there's a real basic thing that is necessary. You have to have people give a shit. And what's interesting about the PGA Tour is that people still care about the PGA Tour. Why did they still care about the PGA Tour and not follow the names? Is it because they know that the next names are coming up? Is it just out of habit? Like, again, I'm not immersed in the golf world. What I'm trying to figure out is, in other sports, if all the best players in the NBA decided we're going to go form another league and we're going to do our own thing, don't you think people will go and watch that league over the NBA? Because that's where all the star players are? The USFL.
Well, you said all.
Not everybody did. But the biggest names did. The
one that stayed behind in Scheffler was obviously pretty big.
Rory.
And Rory.
And Rory staying back. The best thing, because I'm old enough to remember this, the best way I can describe it is when the NFL had scab players. Remember, the players went on strike. This was what, 1987? If I remember
it happened
correctly.
twice in the 80s because the Redskins won the Super Bowl each time there was a
there was a strike.
Joe Gibbs.
So
genius.
What ended up happening was the players they went on strike and people kept watching the NFL because it was like, what's the NFL? We're going to keep watching my team. I don't watch my team. So I don't know if there's something transferable to that with the PGA that I might be missing, that nobody decided, I'm going to go watch all these guys that are household names on this tour that I don't know anything about, but I want to watch my golfers. Instead, they stuck with the product. Why?
I think enough of the good players stayed. If every good player had left, because remember, it took a couple of embarrassing weekends for the owners to finally be like, we got to do something.
Oh, the football was terrible. No, you're right. The football was terrible.
It's kind of like when we had replacement referees, which apparently we're hurtling.
We are hurtling towards that as well. Yes. Although my stance on the referee thing is that the NFL actually wants the refereeing controversy because it creates conversation.
Yeah.
It always keeps you in the news cycle. It's the easiest thing to discuss. So again, the only way I'm just curious about it from the perspective of how the PGA was able to withstand all this and come out stronger, for lack of a better term. You're right. Liv brought some things and had some good ideas and forced the PGA Tour to reassess how they go about doling out cash, right? Sometimes you need competition to get out of your rut. You need competition to get out of your mindset. Totally understand that kind of stuff. But the PGA did not seem to be affected in it, at least from the outside perspective. I don't think in any way, shape, or form did Liv really impact the PGA in terms of ratings, in terms of popularity, or any of that stuff.
I think this is because of something that Eric Tulsky talked about in hockey, and how the difference between the first player in hockey and the 300th player is not as wide as it is in the NBA when it's LeBron James or Giannis running, hot.
Right.
Then you get down. So you had enough of the name brand players stay, including Scottie Scheffler, who was on an all-time historic run. You had Rory McIlroy, who last year completes the career Grand Slam
and was
at the Masters,
actively putting Liv on blast. So.
Warring with them. Then you had enough of the younger guys coming up, the Cam Youngs.
So here's my question:
any of the other guys who came up at that time, who you're sitting there going, "Oh, that guy's pretty good. I like that guy."
Did young golf bros who gamble keep the PGA afloat?
It's involved. It's part of it. I mean, it's part of it.
Okay,
but I don't think it's as simple as that. I think, to finish the point, I think Tulsky you can apply the same principle.
Okay.
So you lost Rahm, DeChambeau, Koepka. That hurt, but Koepka really didn't play regularly on the PGA Tour anyway.
No.
So you lose the two biggest stars in of the top 5 stars in golf. They took 2 in Rahm and DeChambeau.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the other players that they got, there were enough younger players like a Ludwig Oberg who come over and you're like, oh, he's really good.
He's really good.
Akshay Bhatia. Oh,
he's really
good.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, who did we really miss here?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're watching Joaquin Neiman this weekend, and I'm a Joaquin Neiman fan, but I'm like, yeah, I mean, Oberg's better than him.
Okay.
Cam Young's better than him.
Okay.
So, or they're at least a commensurate talent, right?
I would see that. Yeah, the reason why I brought up gambling is you bring up these new names, and you know how it is. Like, you got a guy who's helped you out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, this one dude that I never would have thought of before. Well, now that things have been cleared out, I'm like, man, this guy's my ace in the hole when it comes to winning some of these parlays.
Golf gambling is still the best odds.
See, there you go. I was having that conversation with a friend of mine about, golf. He's not a golf guy. And I was like, honestly, golf is the one thing that I think there's actually more of a direct correlation to its sustained popularity through gambling with the Utes than other sports.
Yeah, you got to remember golf's real appeal is it's your bridge back to the football season.
Yes.
That's why golf's popularity in gambling is what it is.
I don't think it's bringing more people to the golf course to play golf, but it might bring in more eyeballs to live the golf lifestyle.
Yeah, golf popularity right now is off. Well, that was the pandemic. That's what set off the explosion of golf popularity. I could really use a Thanos-like thinning of the herd, if you will, when it comes to
trying to get back. Or maybe they just need to watch videos like this. What does an amateur golfer have to shoot to be considered good at golf?
I enjoyed this, actually.
So this is from Golf on CBS with a variety of different golfers, including Rory McIlroy, answering the central question: what does an amateur golfer have to shoot to be considered "quote unquote" good at golf?
Does an amateur golfer have to shoot to be considered good at golf? To be good at golf? I think if you can shoot in the 80s, I feel like you're a serviceable golfer.
If you're shooting 85 or under, I think you're pretty good at golf.
Break 80?
Under 80.
I mean, I feel like anyone that shoots around 80 is realistically pretty good at golf.
I'd say break 90.
I don't think there's a number, but I think one, you have to be able to finish out every hole without like picking up a 2-footer. But I think to be good at golf, not make a double bogey.
Colin, I'm looking for a score here.
There's no score, just without a double bogey. So, I mean, you could shoot 90, and I think that's 18 over, but all bogeys.
Is that Morikawa?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't like him before. Now I really don't like him. By the way, break 80, like 10% of the people who play golf. That's not even.
That was
80.
Rory
Like,
McIlroy.
and you're saying
Rory's the one's like break 80. Like, dang, okay. So
I think the popular answer, which of course fits my group here,
of course,
if you break 90, I believe you're a pretty good golfer.
Okay. So are you a pretty good golfer?
Yeah.
You just need less people out there, fewer people out there. That's what you're saying? Yeah.
Pretty please.
Fair enough.
Or don't graphic.
Okay.
We haven't done a proper show in I feel like a long time.
It's been a minute. You better get used to speaking normal show here soon. It's about summer protocol time.
I know.
Before you know it.
I know.
Okay. In fact, this break for the Hurricanes.
We should have put some stuff in the can with Forslund while we had him.
Yeah, we probably should have. It's a mistake. I'm sure John will be more than happy. He still lives here, so
okay.
I'm sure we can get him to come to the studio. Speaking of living here, working here, understanding here, our friends Whitaker and Hamer, they're here. They even got a bar in Garner, Shady's, where you can get OG Light. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Also, speaking of the Garner, the crew, Hometown Realty, based in Garner, but again, they got offices all over the place. So if you're looking for a home, looking to sell your home, they will come out to you. They will help you. They will get it done right. myhtr.com, celebrating 25 years of being in business. You got the hat, another grandpa hat. Grandpa hats are so hot right now. So hot. They also know the hats that I like. I appreciate Barry and the crew getting me the 5-panel hat, which is now in the rotation. Again, check them out, myhtr.com. Speaking of your home, Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority can help you out and keep those mosquitoes in check. The heat is back. Welcome to the summer here in North Carolina. If you want to enjoy grilling outside, it's time to take tarps off your back deck, back patio furniture. The pollen seems to be going away. You want to enjoy it? Don't have mosquitoes ruin it. Check out bugsbite.com. You can pay as you go, bundle and save with Pest Authority as well. And of course, our friends at the Butcher's Market, check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. We gave you the schedule for the Hurricanes. You know what your tailgating is going to be. Prime tailgating opportunities with a Saturday night, a Friday night potentially. Get what you need at the Butcher's Market. Everything from the wood smoke, the meats to cook, or if you just got to grab and go like a sandwich, they can make that happen too at the Lake Boone location. So check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. Let's go to the OG Sports Phone.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to a 919.
Hey, Joe Squares. Before y'all get too worked up about the next round of the Hurricanes, I'm hoping y'all are going to road trip down to Charlotte, 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, State Duke. I mean, are you even a local podcast if you're not covering that? So I better see you in Charlotte.
Is the Jamboree here?
Remember, they changed the format.
What's the format now?
Single elimination.
Oh, that's right. I remember seeing the bracket.
So cruelly, Elliot Avent's career can end on Tuesday in Charlotte against my least favorite team, no longer coached by the quitter. I guess it would be worse if they lost to the quitter in Virginia. Quit on his team with a chance to go to the College World Series.
Single elimination now? I missed the Jamboree already.
Yeah.
So how's this going to play out? Or do we talk about this more on Wednesday, depending on the outcome? Or what time's the game on Tuesday? I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow.
He just said 9 a.m.
9 a.m.? Okay. Well, hold on. Oh, I just deleted the phone call. That game might be over by the time I get done with the doctor and everything. So how's this going to, so when this is over, are they going to the college? Are they going to the NCAAs?
They're on the bubble.
Oh, okay.
So obviously they can't go 0-1 in Charlotte.
Well, no.
That would not be good for business.
So how does this end for Elliot then? Are we getting a retirement? Getting a thank you for your service? Like, how's this working? Or do you want to talk about this? Do you want to see how the week plays out?
And you would hope they win their first round game, then they would play the quitter. Is who's waiting for them. Don't even remember the guy's name, but fuck him.
Pollard.
Yeah.
Chris Pollard.
So
the old Duke baseball coach who's out in Virginia.
You get to pick your poison there.
Okay.
You would think if they beat Virginia, they would position themselves to give themselves a chance to make the field as an at-large team. You would think.
Sure.
I do think Elliott's status, although, as was pointed out to me,
oh boy,
the Florida State AD is the head of the baseball committee. Remember, notably, Boo Corrigan was the head of the college football playoff committee when Florida State got left out.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was advanced to me that the Florida State AD may want to exact some revenge by not letting Elliott in on his last year, to which it would need to be relayed to the Florida State AD.
Like, you're actually doing
actually you know
what you really get at Boo.
If you really want to get Boo back.
All right. Let's go to a 910.
It's a beautiful day in Wake Forest. Just running a few errands for my wife. I made a few stops. Stopped at the Butcher's Market. Just picked up a 4-pack of OG Light Original and OG Light Lime. Decided to try the lime. Haven't tried it yet. Had the original. It was a great beer. Flavored beer. Wonderful. And now I'm also going to pick up my 2 Roosters order from the factory. I not wait to try the Nutella brownie. Also am trying the Oreo blueberry as well. I'm kind of curious by that one. So great OG weekend here in Wake Forest. Hope you guys are well. Hopefully the Canes play hockey again some point this year. Go Canes. Have a great weekend.
I love that people can make quote unquote OG weekends.
Dude,
I love
the best, man. Thank you
love what
for doing all the things you just did.
I love what we have built. You can have an OG weekend, get some beer, go visit some corporate champions. I absolutely love to hear that. And hopefully our corporate champions hear that too. See? Making OG weekends out of it. Let's go to 1919.
Hey, OG, NC State moderator here. I paused the mailbag 7 minutes and 30 seconds into it. I just had a question for Ovies about something you just said about taking the non-toll roads. I'm with Giglio. I'm not judging you for what you're doing by not taking them, but I'm with Giglio as far as I'm okay paying tolls. I like getting where I want to get to with more time on my hands, and honestly, less road traffic makes me less stressed. So I do it for my stress level. But anyways, you said you were trying to justify not taking the toll roads. Part of your justification was you get to see some, like, you know, different parts of the country and throw some business their way. But you say that after saying that when you stop for food, you go to the gas station. So who are you actually getting money in the hands of? Like, not the local townsfolk, but sheets. Just thought that was silly. Anyways, excited to hear the rest of the mailbag. Let's go.
Okay. I could understand the confusion when I was talking about. In situations like getting up to Philly last weekend. It was last weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're trying to get there as fast as possible. All right. And yes, I did go through the tolls and I made some mistakes and whatnot, but I'm a bill my mail guy, so it's no big deal. And that's where going into a Sheetz or a Wawa, Royal Farms, name any number of these gas stations that do a bunch of stuff, right? To be cheap, quick, and efficient. That's when I'm trying to get somewhere as fast as possible. But like on a normal family road trip, or like when we've gone to national parks and stuff like that, we will avoid the main roads for the most part, because you do get to see some areas of the country that you would otherwise just drive through. And we will go to those local towns and hit those restaurants and whatnot. So I didn't do a good enough job explaining the difference between I'm trying to get somewhere ASAP versus a vacation mode and taking non-toll roads or back roads to get to some places. For instance, several years ago, we did a road trip and hit a couple different national parks, and we actually went along Route 66. Okay, like OG Route 66. Could I have gotten to the Grand Canyon faster? Yeah, I could have. But it was really neat to go through those towns on Route 66 and visited a couple different spots. I mean, hell, we went to one roadside location that clearly inspired the movie Cars. Like clearly inspired the movie Cars based on how it was set up. And the kids ate it up. So I think that's the distinction between the two. All right, let's go to 1919.
Hey guys, Matt Fuquay. Just listened to the end of the mailbag, and they're talking about country music, and Joe was mentioning a shitty song that he saw a piece of the other day, and I believe the song is that new Luke Bryan, I think it's Huntfish Golf Coffee or some shit like that. And the music video legitimately looks like it was made with an iPhone camera by his cousin or something. Luke Bryan fucking sucks. He's terrible. One of the worst things going on in music today. I understand the hook behind Morgan Wallen, but it is really just almost entirely terrible music. And when the sad part about that is there's some really good country music out there right now, like real good. I think Luke Combs, as Julia mentioned, all this stuff is good. He's got a good sound. I don't know if you listen to Zach Top at all, but he's worth checking out. That guy is a real talent. There's and it's not all this like alt country or outlaw country. Like there are people out there that are putting out just legitimately real country records, not with some fake twang and a mixture of R&B or whatever you want to call it, mixed into whatever they believe they're calling country music at this point. So, Ovies, I'm with you. It doesn't all suck, but there is some of it that's some of the worst music that's ever been created that's currently in country music. It's an embarrassment. And at the same time, there are still artists today out there that are putting out really good, great stuff. So yeah, frustrating for the country music fans out there, because some of the major artists fucking suck ass. and Morgan Wallen especially is terrible. Luke Bryan, good God, I just pull my eyes out like it's another reincarnation of Rascal Flatts. You fucking suck too. Let's go, guys. Stay gorgeous. Stay handsome. Peace.
Yeah,
Look, Luke Bryan's terrible. I make no bones that I do not like Luke Bryan.
We got a text from an 804 saying, I call it list country. And the song and the artist Ovies was trying to think of with the preview song on Instagram was Luke Bryan, who is the worst culprit.
The king of that, yeah.
A thing and another thing and a third thing, that's country chorus. So for those who are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, sure enough, after I had mentioned it on Friday and I texted you,
you found it.
I got the algo knows, man.
Yeah.
The algo knows we were talking about that dumb song. So it fed it to me, and here's how it goes.
Have it my own way, you know. Let me tell you how every day would go. Wake up, coffee, camo, climb tree, wet line, 18 fish hunt, golf drink. All spring, all summer long, I'll be living it up and living it on a country boys dream, fish hunt, golf drink.
Now look,
you can have the sex at any point, or
you don't need that. I got all you need in life. What's better?
Poisoning the mind of these youths.
No, Joe, you know what's better than sex? A wet line. You might be interested in some macaroni in a pot. No, sir. No, sir. The only thing getting wet around here is this fishing line. What more do you want? Just saying. Now look, to Matt's point, this is true of any genre of music. Any genre of music. There's quote unquote real rock, and then you got your pop, you get all sorts of stuff. And a lot of the music that I like has variations of what Luke Bryan does, and that all you're doing is like, oh, you're listing, like you'll use hip hop, like, oh, you've got money. Congratulations. Oh, you've got hoes.
Different area codes.
Good for you. Oh, and they're in different area codes? Oh, very good. Very good. Very good. So like these are all things that are just repeated over time. Like I think I mentioned it last week. I think this was on the paid side for Mailbag, so people didn't hear it in the grand scheme of things. Like I love Bad Bunny, but there's like 3 different versions of a Bad Bunny song, and they're usually about getting more than your fishing line wet. Okay, but I recognize that, and there's a time and place for it. But when I hear that, I just think to myself, who is that for exactly? Who's that for? And I don't know the answer to that. Clearly, it's kind of like the Nickelback thing. You always think you're just like, who the fuck's listening to this? And Nickelback's only one of the best-selling rock artists of all time, right? I mean, shit. I worked Walnut Creek when Creed, like I couldn't stand Creed when they came out. Like, who is this for? Who's listening to this? They sold out. I don't know if they sold out Walnut Creek, but they had Walnut Creek pretty damn full up. Most artists can't do that. Most artists cannot do that. So sometimes there's an element of that in play when it comes to music and all genres where I go, and I just use rock examples. I'm going, who listens to this? And I'll never forget one time being young and an asshole, as opposed to being old and an asshole, when like Cam Ward, speaking of old Stanley Cup vibes, he was a huge Nickelback guy. I mean,
Martinook is.
Wasn't Martinook like out there singing with Nickelback, right? And of course, it's one of those things where you have to remind yourself, oh, there's more that than there is this. You see what I'm getting at? But shout out to everybody who, including this, and we'll get out of here on this. Somebody had sent a text saying that our conversation about the Luke Bryan song and country music reminded him of the Bo Burnham bit, where he set up most modern country music. And I don't think you've heard this bit. This is 6 years old. I think this came out during the pandemic. And I remember seeing this bit when it came out, but it absolutely ties into the conversation we were having and really hits on my issues. It's pretty accurate, is it not?
It's not bad.
Oh, we're going to take so many YouTube hits based on that right there.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. It was worth it. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Big thanks to Forslund for hanging out. We do a normal show tomorrow. Are you out of practice? Okay.
I'm ready.
Are you sure you haven't signed up for more golf tomorrow?
I did, but we'll play after.
What time are you playing?
Probably like 1:30.
We got time. We'll talk about something tomorrow.
Red dirt.
Where are my blue
cold
jeans?
beer.
See you then.